You know, and this is a historical book, but it also has application today. I found on page 194, you quote a man named Kent Cooper, general manager of the Associated Press. And he said, there can be no permanent peace unless men of all lands can have truthful, unbiased news of each other, which shall be freely available at the source to all who seek it there, wherever they may be. Now we're seeing increased censorship of free speech, and we're seeing truth being politicized. So this is direct application. We're going to end up in war today because Google's going to tell us what we all ought to think.
Well, that's true. I have a chapter on media, okay, so I go into all of that. You know, the news that everyone all over the world got was from three basic organizations based in Europe at one time. In 1942, this Cooper came up with an entire book that he wrote, which I've researched and so forth. But it relates to today because the reporters are going to do exactly what their editors on their editorial board tell them to cover, and the slant, and they're going to come from the owners. So there are like 6 major entities in the United States that basically control everything we hear and see. So if those owners either are part of the conspiracy or not, just cupidity exemplified, they're going to want to promote their ideas, what they want to have done. They're going to tell their editors, I own this newspaper, this is what you're going to do, and you reporters, this is what you're going to cover. So they don't cover stuff that we'd like them to cover lots of times. We have to go to alternative news to get our stuff like, you know, stuff that we really need to know as the common man out there in society, because they're not going to cover that kind of stuff. They'll cover the kinds of stuff that promotes their what they want to promote in society.
You know, it seemed as if the internet was solving that problem because you'd have free access and you could do a web search and you could find the truth. But even that, I mean, New York Times has their editorial meetings, and one recently apparently got together, okay, we couldn't pin Russian collusion on Trump, so now we'll deem him a racist. And so they got together for that. But if you look for the alternative media, that's being squelched.
Sure it is.
Google is preventing us from finding in search terms finding. YouTube is knocking off videos. Even Steven Crowder, who's also on the Blaze, they demonetized him, and they cut people off. And Facebook, you put a post up and Facebook deems it unacceptable, and they won't let you see that. Sure. So we're seeing the precursors for another war, I think, set up, and based on the history that you put here, that looks what's going to happen.
Well, there obviously a lot of people profit from wars. I'm 77 now, so I've suffered in a war. I'm a little bitty old captain in Vietnam at age 24. I don't know what the war's all about. I mean, let me tell you something. One of the primary issues that I believe at this age that our United States military does not do, we do not do enough education and information as to who the enemy is, okay? Today, it's Islamist, jihadist terrorists, okay, over there in the countries that are following many of the precepts that Islam teaches them. A lot of great Muslims all over the world, they're not interested in all this stuff. Great Muslim friends that I have, okay, but that certain
there's a percentage.
There's a percentage, okay, and we've got to inform our troops about that. I went to military intelligence school, intelligence operation, and so I understood what communism was. But we had, there wasn't really any indoctrination and understanding and teaching who the enemy is, why we're going after and putting our lives at stake. There's a big purpose out there for why we should go to war. Tell us what it is.